Senator Alexander Munyi Mundigi. H, statement on the distribution of fertilizer to farmers in Kakamega County and various parts of the county by Senator Dr. Bon Harwana MP. And I, statement on the completion of Isiolo Export Abattoir by Senator Fatuma Nduro, CBS MP. Mr. Speaker, sir, the following two statements have been exported and shared with the senators, but the senators are not satisfied. A, statement on the vaccine production and distribution at the Kenya Veterinary Production Institute by Senator Mohamed Chute MP. And B, statement on the existence of artificial insemination AI goat center in Ahiti Ndomba in Kirinyaga County by Senator Mohamed Chute MP. The committee will hold a meeting with Kenya Veterinary Production Institute to conclude and raise the question is in the statement. Petitions. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee considered two petitions. A, petition on the Ethics and Corruption Commission EACC graft investigation on the West Kano irrigation scheme, and B, petition on the catastrophic maize disease that farmers in Bomet County have endured for the last 12 years. On the petition regarding the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC graft investigation on the West Kano irrigation scheme, the committee has met with the petitioner, Chairperson Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the Governor Kisumu County, and the leadership of the West Kano Scheme Cooperative Society who had been adversely mentioned. The committee considered the submission from the Kenya National Trading Corporation, KNTC, and the National Irrigation Authority and resolved to invite the stakeholders involved to another meeting scheduled for 23rd April 2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the petition regarding the catastrophic maize disease that farmers in Bomet have endured for the last 12 years, the committee has met with the petitioner and will invite the stakeholders on 30th April 2024, and thereafter visit Bomet and Nandi counties. Stakeholders engagement. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee attended a high-level parliamentary meeting on enhancing agri-food system transformation on 1st to 2nd February 2024, and the workshop on agriculture produces and other market-related levies on 22nd and 23rd March 2024. Inquiry. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee is conducting an inquiry into the distribution of fake fertilizer in various parts of the county. The members of the committee watched an expo titled The Fertile Inception by the African Cesar. Following this, the committee resolved to visit depots in various counties and also met with the affected farmers from these counties. The committee thereafter met with the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Agriculture and Livestock Development, National Cereals and Produce Board, Kenya National Trading Corporation, and Sirka Booster Innovate Manufacturer Limited. The committee will this Friday, that is tomorrow, April, meet with Kenya Bureau of Standards, Kell Chemicals, MEMS Distributor Limited, and all the companies supplying the fertilizer and the National Government Fertilizer Subsidy Program, and thereafter table its report. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I wish to thank your office and that of the clerk of the Senate for the continuous support according to the committee in undertaking its work. Lastly, I also wish to thank the members of the committee for their commitment and diligence in the contribution during the committee activity. Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Signed by Senator James Kamau Morango, Chairperson Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries.
Chairperson Standing Committee on Health. Vice Senator Mandago. I thought I saw Senator Mandago in the House. I'm here. Proceed, Senator.
Honorable Speaker, statement relating to the activities of the Standing Committee of Health from 13 February 2024 to 28 March 2024, pursuant to Standing Order number 56-1B of the Senate Standing Orders. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 56-1B of the Senate Standing Orders to make a statement relating to the activities of the Standing Committee on Health during the Part 1 of the third session of the 13th Parliament. Honorable Speaker, the Standing Committee on Health is established under Standing Order 223 of the Senate Standing Orders and is mandated to consider all matters relating to the medical services, public health and sanitation. During the period under review, the committee held 16 sittings, during which it considered one bill, one inquiry, undertook one county visit, and held one stakeholder engagement. On the bills, Honorable Speaker, during the period under review, the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment number 2 Bill of the National Assembly Bills number 45 of 2022 was committed to the committee on Thursday, 28 March 2024. The committee awaits memoranda submissions for consideration and intends to lay its report thereafter. Honorable Speaker, The committee concluded on the following bills, and the reports are undergoing approval process for tabling by Tuesday, 23rd April 2024. The Community Health Services Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of 2023. The Maternal, Newborn and Child Bill 2023, Senate Bills number 17 of 2023, and the e-Health Bill, Senate Bill number 32 of 2023. On petitions, Honorable Speaker, the committee has concluded its consideration of the petition by Kenyatta University medical students on the engagement and use of Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral and Research Hospital, KUTTRH, by medical students at Kenyatta University. A report on this has been compiled and is awaiting adoption by the committee. On the statements, Honorable Speaker, during the period under review, the committee considered and sought responses on the following 10 statements as follows. Statement by Senator Amida Kibwana, MP, on the circumstances that led to the amputation of baby Jennifer Mwasi's hand at Wesu Hospital in Taita Taveta County. Statement by Senator Amida Kibwana, MP, on the absence of data bank for unclaimed bodies in Kenya. Statement by Senator Joe Nyotu, MP, on the state of medical equipment supplied by Mecascope to level 5 hospitals across the country. Statement by Senator Fatuma Dulo, MP, on the operational state of the Isiolo County Referral Hospital morgue. Statement by Senator David Wakoli, MP, on the assessment of policy on the availability and supply of medical oxygen in Kenya. Statement by Senator Gloria Oropa, MP, on the inadequate bed capacity at Mbagathi and Mama Lucy hospitals in Nairobi City County. Statement by Senator Kadhuri Murungi, MP, on the delayed remittances of funds by the defunct National Hospital Insurance Fund to health facilities. Statement by Senator George Mbugwa, MP, on the expected impact of trained and experienced nurses seeking jobs abroad on nursing services in hospitals countrywide. Statement by Senator Joseph Kamau Kiduku, MP, on the poor state of health care in Lamu County. And statement by Senator Miraj Abdulrahman, MP, on the health care provision to teenage and adolescent mothers in public health care facilities. The statements are pending consideration by the committee. Correspondences on the pending statements have been forwarded to the relevant stakeholders and are awaiting response. Honorable Speaker, on inquiries, during the period under review, the committee finalized its inquiry into alleged irregularities in the procurement of long-lasting insecticide nets at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA. A report on this has been compiled and is waiting adoption by the committee. Honorable Speaker, further to the above, the committee has resolved to open inquiries into the following topical issues during this session. Inquiry into the access and provision of oxygen in emergency care facilities in the country. Inquiry into the circumstances that led to the amputation of baby Yasir Ridwan's fingers at Kerukoya County Referral Hospital. Inquiry into the death of Wakili Masharia JM at Muranga Level 4 Hospital. And inquiry into the pending bills and fraudulent claims at the National Hospital Insurance Fund. Inquiry into the exchequer funding for the delivery of community health services by non-state actors. Honorable Speaker, on stakeholder engagements and workshops, during the period under review, the committee, in collaboration with the Senate Liaison Office, held one stakeholder engagement with Westminster Foundation for Democracy, a United Kingdom public body dedicated to supporting democracy around the world and working with parliaments, political parties, and civil society groups to help make countries' political systems fairer, more inclusive, accountable, and transparent. In its quest to implement post-legislative scrutiny as monitoring and evaluation tool on health-related laws, not only on national laws, but also county laws, with particular focus on the Health Act 2017. Honorable Speaker, on county visits, ordinarily committees execute the bulk of their work in committee rooms within the presence of Parliament. However, occasions do arise when it is necessary to augment the evidence gathered within the presence with site visits. The site visits, apart from providing first-hand evidence, do avail the opportunity for intensive oversight and extended public participation. Accordingly, during the second session, the committee undertook inspection and familiarization visits to 7 counties, including Kisii, Nyamira, Bomet, West Pokot, Trans Nzoia, and Turkana County. Honorable Speaker, the reports of the said visits have been compiled and are awaiting adoption by the committee. The committee further commits to undertake additional visits of all the remaining counties during the 3rd and 4th sessions. Moreover, on Monday, 25th March 2024, the committee undertook an inspection and familiarization visit to Nairobi City County, arising from the statements sought by fellow honorable members and the general outcry of deplorable state of healthcare services in certain health facilities in Nairobi County. The committee intends to undertake another visit to Nairobi City County and thereafter will present its findings to the House. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank your office for the support accorded to the committee in undertaking its work, the office of the clerk. I also wish to acknowledge the support of the honorable members of the committee and this House for the support. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 52, the Honorable Munyahaji Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, nimesimama kuambatana na kifungu cha 52(1) cha kanuni za kudumu za Bunge la Senate kutoa taarifa kuhusiana na hali ngumu ya kazi na unyanyasaji wa wafanyikazi wa Export Processing Zones, yani EPZ. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimesimama kwa mujibu wa kanuni za kudumu ya 52(1) kutoa kauli kuhusu jambo linalohusu kaunti nzima kuhusiana na hali ngumu za kazi na kunyanyaswa kwa wafanyakazi wa Export Processing Zones, hususan wafanyakazi wa kampuni ya Ashton Apparels mjini Mombasa. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna mashirika mengi ambayo yamefungua biashara ya nguo ili kusafirisha kwenda masoko ya Marekani kupitia kwa mpango wa AGOA, ambao ni sera maalum ya serikali ya Marekani inayochukua bidhaa kutoka nchi za Kiafrika. Lakini fursa hii imekuwa ni sababu ya baadhi ya mashirika yanayofaidi kutokana na mpango huu kukandamiza haki za wafanyakazi, hivyo basi kuhujumu sekta hii ambayo inatoa ajira kwa Wakenya wengi. Mheshimiwa Spika, kumekuwa na visa tele vya ukandamizaji wa haki za wafanyakazi mikononi mwa mashirika hayo kama ifuatavyo. Kwanza, kuzuiliwa kwa wafanyakazi kujiunga na chama cha kutetea haki zao na kupelekea waliojiunga na vyama hivyo kupoteza kazi zao. Pili, Mheshimiwa Spika, hujuma za kijinsia ambazo kina dada wanalazimishwa kushiriki tendo la ngono na waajiri au wasimamizi wa kampuni ili kupata ajira. Tatu, kufanyishwa kazi kwa muda mrefu bila ya kupewa barua za uajiri, Mheshimiwa Spika. Nne, ubaguzi wa ukabila ambapo jamii moja pekee ndio inafanya kazi katika kitengo kimoja au kitengo maalum kwa kampuni hiyo. Mheshimiwa Spika, ya tano, kufanyishwa kazi kwa muda mrefu katika mazingira duni yenye msongamano na vumbi kupelekea afya za wafanyakazi kuwepo hatarini na kupata magonjwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, mishahara duni inayolipwa na mashirika hayo pia ni basi kunyanyasa Wakenya, na pia hali tete iliyopo katika mashirika hayo ambapo wafanyakazi hawajui hatima ya siku ya baadaye. Mheshimiwa Spika, majuzi wafanyakazi wa kampuni ya Ashton Apparels iliyoko katika eneo bunge la Changamwe mjini Mombasa walifanya mgomo kutetea haki yao ya kujiunga na chama cha wafanyakazi. Wafanyakazi hao, Mheshimiwa Spika, walitumuliwa na maafisa wa polisi wakisaidiwa na naibu kamishna wa kata ndogo ya Changamwe bila ya kuwa na kosa lolote. Licha ya viongozi wa Mombasa, Mheshimiwa Spika, kuingilia swala hilo, shirika limekataa kukubaliana na wafanyakazi na hivyo basi kupelekea wafanyakazi 2000 kusimamishwa kazi. Mheshimiwa Spika, serikali ya Marekani inazingatia kwa makini haki za wafanyakazi, na iwapo swala hili halitatatuliwa kwa haraka, Kenya iko hatarini kupoteza fursa hii ya mpango wa AGOA ambao ni muhimu vile vile kwa uchumi wa taifa. Tayari Mheshimiwa Spika, nchi kadhaa za bara Asia zimepoteza fursa hii kwa sababu ya kutozingatia haki za wafanyakazi. Hili swala, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni zito ambalo linapendekeza kamati ya kudumu ya leba na ustawi wa jamii ifuatilie ili wafanyakazi wasidhulumiwe. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Statement pursuant to Standing Order 53(1), Honorable Karen Nyambu.
I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53(1) to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing regarding the traffic congestions in Nairobi City and its environs. In the statement, the committee should state the major causes of traffic congestion in Nairobi City County and its environs, highlighting the roles played by the public service vehicles, private motorists, and other classes of vehicles in increasing the congestion. Report on initiatives undertaken by both the national and county governments to alleviate the traffic congestion in the city, considering the negative impact of traffic jams on productivity and the economy. Provide an update on the progress of the implementation of the Bus Rapid Transit System, the BRT project, including the total project expenditure to date, the contracted companies responsible for the project execution, and the projected timelines for completion and handing over for public use. Outline any measures implemented by the government to increase availability of parking spaces within the Nairobi City County. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Statement pursuant to Standing Order 57-1, the Majority Leader.
My apologies, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 57-1 to hereby present the business of the Senate for the week commencing Tuesday, for the week commencing 23rd of April 2024. Before I present this statement, allow me to use this opportunity to welcome colleague senators back from the short recess period. I believe that we have some time to meet our constituents, spend time with our families and friends, rejuvenated over both the Easter and Ramadan holidays, and are now ready to work for the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, at the close of the first part of the third session, 36 bills were pending conclusion in the Senate. Over the last 2 days, 5 other bills were read a first time, and in addition to the one in the order paper today, 42 bills will be pending before the Senate. Out of these bills, 10 bills have been scheduled at order number 8 to 18 in today's order paper. From the foregoing, we have resumed regular sittings with our in-tray already full. Let us redouble our efforts collectively and individually, whether in the committee or in plenary, to ensure that the business before the Senate is dispensed with expeditiously. Mr. Speaker, sir, with respect to other businesses before the Senate, 15 motions are pending conclusion, while 24 petitions are pending before the respective standing committees. Additionally, 336 statements are pending before the respective standing committees, and I urge committees to responsible for the petitions to and statements to expeditiously conclude these matters. Mr. Speaker, sir, I can see the Deputy Minority Whip and the Majority Whip. I think he has stepped out, but he was here. I want to urge the officers of the whips to assist us next week, because this week we have not succeeded to carry out any delegation needing votes due to quorum hitches. Therefore, I want to humbly request, or direct, not request, Mr. Speaker, Senator Sifuna, yes, and Senator Boni Halwale, to do their best to ensure that this Senate lives up to its billing, Madam Speaker.
Senator
Mr.
Sifuna,
Speaker,
that was in good faith, honestly.
Proceed,
Majority Leader.
I don't want to make another positive comment on Senator Sifuna because I'm not sure whether he will understand or he will challenge me again, Mr. Speaker. At its meeting held on Tuesday, 16th April 2024, the Senate Business Committee approved the next set of questions to be scheduled in the order paper for Wednesday, 24th of April 2024. The summary of the questions at the Cabinet Secretary to appear as follows. Question number 25, the CS for Gender, Culture, Arts and Heritage by Senator James Murango on the establishment of public libraries in 47 counties. Question number 37, to the CS for Foreign Affairs by Senator Dr. Boni Halwale on the welfare of Kenyans working in the Gulf states. Question number 40, to the CS for Foreign Affairs by Senator Ojenda on the obligations of government of Kenya in the to Kenyans in the diaspora who faced arrest, detention, or deportation. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to appreciate all honorable senators for the vigor and display at the start of the second part of the session and to encourage the same spirit throughout this part of the session. I thank you and do hereby lay the statement on the table of the Senate today, Thursday, the 18th of April, 2024. I thank you.
Next order.
Order number 8, the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 40 of 2022, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Land Act, Cap 280.
Now, honorable senators, you will allow me to rearrange the sequence of today's order paper. We will proceed to order number 13. Dispense with that before we resume the natural flow of today's order paper. Clerk, proceed to call that order, please.
Order number 13, the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bills number 70 of 2023.
At the interruption of debate, Senator Danson Mungatana had the floor and he had a balance of 13 minutes. He's not in the House, so we will proceed. Senator Asige Crystal.
Thank you very much, Speaker, though I had pressed the microphone to give comment on the statements just read.
Senator Oroba. Senator Onyonka. All right, then. I will call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank colleagues who took time to speak to this very important bill. This is an important industry, Mr. Speaker, and it is important that I mention because Senator Sifuna decided to take my comments yesterday out of context when I said that I don't understand gambling, Mr. Speaker, and decided to say that I'm passing a bill that I have no idea what it is about. Of course, he chose to misinterpret my comments, Mr. Speaker, but I am sure the only thing that he knows better than me in that industry is how to place a bet. Beyond that, Mr. Speaker, we are the same. Because as I explained, Mr. Speaker, this is a very complex industry, which many of our young people find themselves engaged in one way or the other. And it is important because in this house you have, apart from being leaders, we are also parents, many of us. In fact, some of us have children the age of Senator Sifuna and I, and they are members in this house, Mr. Speaker, that we must pass legislation that secures the prosperity of our future generations. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I am particularly impressed that the setting up of this authority, like many colleagues did agree, will actually help to curtail bad betting and gambling behaviors, Mr. Speaker, that is creeping into our society. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am extremely glad also that many of the colleagues who spoke on this matter agreed that they shall actually be sponsoring amendments with regards to particularly two issues that are raised. One is on the fines for violations of various provisions of this bill, Mr. Speaker, which we all agree was too low, Mr. Speaker, to force compliance at 1 million shillings. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, was to conform the board to the tenets of devolution and ensure that the Council of Governors has better representation than what is presently in the bill. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to urge those colleagues who have promised to file these amendments to do so. I intend to perhaps progress the bill later on next week, subject to the membership of the House being quorate to ensure that we have enough numbers. But before then, I want to request all those that made their submissions and in one way or the other felt that the bill would have been better if this or the other aspect of it was changed. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks, I beg to reply. Mr. Speaker, in accordance to Standing Order number 66.3, I beg to request that you defer the putting of the question until a later time. I thank you.
Very well. The division on this particular bill is deferred to a later date. We will proceed with order number 14. Clerk, proceed to call that order, please.
Order number 14, the County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 25 of 2023. Second reading.
Senator Chirange.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to move the bill, the County Government's Amendment Bill 2023. Mr. Speaker, by saying this is a very straightforward amendment, and thank you for giving me opportunity to move. I've been waiting long, but I understand the order of the business keep changing, Mr. Speaker. And this is just a way of improving and enhancing and widening and deepening the evolution, Mr. Speaker. And that is why members of public who watch us, when we make laws, Mr. Speaker, they should understand that we can make and amend at the same time. We can review because we are the lawmakers. The Constitution, Mr. Speaker, envisages us as the Senate and Parliament of the Republic of Kenya, as per Article 93, Mr. Speaker, that we have power to amend. Mr. Speaker, and therefore, the reason we have power of lawmaking is because we exercise the power on behalf of the people of the Republic of Kenya. Each of us, 47 delegations, includes our nominated. We exercise that authority. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we are the apex of democracy and exercising the free will of the people, Mr. Speaker. So yesterday, I had somebody within Parliament trying to issue gagging orders for some of us not to speak about the welfare or concerns that we have, Mr. Speaker. I want to put it without fear of contradiction. There were many people who tried to intimidate us in our previous life, Mr. Speaker. Some of us, Mr. Speaker, were arrested, persecuted, prosecuted. But I want to inform them the price of intimidation and blackmail is zero, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, there is no gagging orders, Mr. Speaker. If there is something wrong, if there is no water in the chamber, we have a right because to ask questions about it, Mr. Speaker. You cannot or threaten any member of Parliament with being taken to powers and privileges, Mr. Speaker, for asking what rightfully belongs to them, Mr. Speaker. So I want to call upon, because all of us are brothers and sisters in this house, that if there are gagging orders from you or any other individual from the lower house, Mr. Speaker, then they should inform us in advance. We don't want, Mr. Speaker, to operate with the principle of monkey. Hear nothing, see nothing, and say nothing. Then why are we elected through a democratic process, Mr. Speaker? That is why I must insist, Mr. Speaker, let us always have a conversation on many issues surrounding the running of this Parliament, Mr. Speaker, at any given time.
Senator Fernandi, are you making a statement pursuant to Standing Order 52, or you're moving your bill, your amendments bill?
Mr. Speaker, I am building the basis of moving my amendment bill, Mr. Speaker.
There's no relationship.
It is there.
Just go ahead and move your bill, please.
Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, we shall keep asking the questions about the Bunge Towers as long as something is wrong. Mr. Speaker, in the second limb that I wanted to say, and Mr. Speaker, on that note, why are the guilty afraid? Let the people who should carry the cross when they need be. But
what is your point of order, Senator Sifuna?
Mr. Speaker, is the Senator Fernandi in order to impute ill motives on members of this House? And I would want him to clarify who are these guilty that are afraid when this discussion on members' welfare is being alleged. Mr. Speaker, I hope he's not referring to the chair, which would be something terrible to do. So please, can he clarify on who are these people who are afraid of discussions regarding the welfare of members?
Senator Fernandi, can we proceed to lay bare the names of those who are guilty?
Mr. Speaker.
In the event that you cannot, you may proceed to withdraw that particular statement.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't look for a time in my life here in the floor that Senator Sifuna would be defending you. But that one being said and done, Mr. Speaker,
I didn't mean...
I'm one
of those who are feeling guilty?
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, it is just a euphemism, is it? A saying, Mr. Speaker, by saying there are people who are, they're afraid are always, the guilty are always afraid. I didn't mention any name, even the answer can bear. But if it is misunderstood, I withdraw that statement, Mr. Speaker, and replace that people. Why, Mr. Speaker, why is Senator Spooner smiling today? Mr. Speaker, and you know you have been told Uhuru Park cannot be used for political rallies. I hope he's aware. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I am replacing by saying everyone within file and rank of running of parliament, including us, even at the level of committee, should be ready to answer questions. That's what I meant, Mr. Speaker. And we are asking these questions for welfare of ourselves, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in moving this bill, I want to say our business, Mr. Speaker, our business is just to do the lawmaking. Mr. Speaker, let us do the lawmaking. Let us ensure that we give opportunity to members of parliament to do their job. In this amendment, we continue under the County Government's Amendment Bill 2023, Mr. Speaker. I know Senator of Kiambu had an impeachment procedure bill. But even as we wait, Mr. Speaker, for that bill to come, when you look at this amendment, basically, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure, is to increase the threshold for removal of a member of County Executive Committee. Mr. Speaker, I know you, being the Governor Emeritus of Kilifi County, Senator Mandaguf being of Androba, being governors, Mr. Speaker, you understand what it means to have stability and prediction in terms of your committee executive members. And we are just, Mr. Speaker, for understanding of members, we are just rationalizing with the national legislation, Mr. Speaker. Because when you say a third, if you have maybe 80 members, it means 10 of them can just sign and remove that member, CCM, Mr. Speaker. So we are trying to look and rationalize with the National Assembly, not with the national legislation. Because there is a threshold before you impeach or vote of no confidence against a cabinet secretary. So what we are doing, Mr. Speaker, is just to rationalize both so that it becomes easy, Mr. Speaker, especially so that we bring stability. By the way, Mr. Speaker, in as much as we do oversight against or for county governments and other independent institutions, Mr. Speaker, our goal is not to stifle the flourishing and expansion, Mr. Speaker, of some of the growth of devolution, Mr. Speaker. We want stability, we want predictability, so that when we do oversight, Mr. Speaker, we can therefore do oversight. And this one does not mean that the MCS will always have power to summon CCM to appear before them. Even chief officers, Mr. Speaker. Even director of various departments within the county government structure, Mr. Speaker. So what we are just doing is putting a game that has rules, Mr. Speaker. We are putting a stopgap so that it is not open to abuse, Mr. Speaker. You can imagine if it was a third to give a vote of no confidence against a cabinet secretary, Mr. Speaker, against 365 so members of National Assembly. So if you are to do 365 and you choose is it 365? I think it's 365. You have to do a third of 365. How many CSs have gone home? And therefore, we want just to realize, I don't know, are there CSs who are supposed to go home? I don't know. But I'm just saying, Mr. Speaker, it will be an abuse. And when you look at the amendment of Section 40, Mr. Speaker, is in essence trying in removal of a member of executive, County Government's number 17 of 2012. It talks about removal of member of a county executive. Of course, the grounds has been laid, Mr. Speaker. Then Section 42 says a member of County Assembly supported by at least 1/3 of all members of County Assembly may propose a motion requiring the governor to dismiss as county executive member, committee member on any of the grounds set up in subsection 1. Mr. Speaker, and therefore, if a motion subsection 2 is supported by at least 1/3 of the members of the county assembly shall appoint a select committee, of course, in the process, 5 members to investigate the matter, Mr. Speaker. So looking at the threshold, we need to rationalize so that, Mr. Speaker, all these are political process. The removal of a CCM, the vote of no confidence, impeachment, Mr. Speaker, right to recall, these are mostly political processes that try to bring accountability in the offices that you hold. Because, Mr. Speaker, when you swear an oath before in Parliament or any other place, Mr. Speaker, you are told to protect the rule of law. So how do we ensure that, and you know, Mr. Speaker, In another limb, this is a way of checks and balances. Because how do you checks and balance? One of the ways is to remove somebody who is incompetent in office. Sometimes is to reprimand, sometimes is to recall, sometimes is to show cause, sometimes is to interdict. And some of those aspects that are being given, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank the Committee of Devolution led by my brother, senior brother, chairperson of Devolution, Mohammed Abbas, for doing a good job, Mr. Speaker, especially on this amendment. And therefore, we are proposing, Mr. Speaker, to delete 1/3 appearing afterwards and replace at least the words majority. And I know that has been used before, or a majority in Part A, Mr. Speaker, removing the 2/3. Not 2/3, removing the 1/3 to put it into a majority. So if you are members of County Assembly, Nairobi County Assembly, Mr. Speaker, they are around, I think, 80. Mr. Speaker, and I am told there is a viral video, Mr. Speaker, of the Speaker of Nairobi County Assembly hugging forcefully, or trying to hug forcefully a member of Parliament or member of MCA. And Mr. Speaker, it has caused consternation across the nation. So we want to also advise MCAs not to be forcing people or hugging people forcefully, because it can cause a lot of consternation, Mr. Speaker. And I know people like Senator Orwoba were up in arms in social media over that issue. So, Speaker, that is, so the issue that we want to ensure is the majority. So if members of County Assembly in Nairobi, let's say they are 80, for example, majority of them will be around 50 to 60 MCAs to sign that removal process, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, it ensures stability of your cabinet, Mr. Speaker. Because most of the MCAs fear the governor, but they don't fear CCM, CEOs, or Director of Finance, Mr. Speaker. So they will let her go for low-hanging fruits in quotes by looking for your CCM, and by then, Mr. Speaker, they can end up undermining and frustrating your development agenda as the governor of that region or that county, Mr. Speaker. On Part B is deleting the words at least 1/3 and substituting with majority, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I think in resolution, this is just a process we are rationalizing. When you look at the parent act, it talks about that the Speaker of the House shall promptly deliver the resolution of the governor. So, for example, the member has the right to appear and be represented. Of course, Mr. Speaker, just for members to grasp what we are just saying is we should subject you to principles of natural justice, Mr. Speaker, through you, and ensure that right to appear, to the way we normally do it here, Mr. Speaker, in short, is you appear, you defend yourself, if you have a legal representative. Those are principles of right of representation. And the committee, you appear, of course, the Parent Act has provided, if they are substantiated during the county member to be the county assembly shall vote whether to approve the resolution requiring the county executive committee member to be dismissed. And if a resolution, so we are deleting in subsection 6, Mr. Speaker, by deleting a words, a majority appearing after the word supported, and therefore with at least 2/3. So that the threshold should be very high, Mr. Speaker, so that we ensure also there is a due diligence, Mr. Speaker. We know in these offices, I remember, Mr. Speaker, we have sat, and Senator Sifuna is a member of Public Accounts Committee. It is hard, even in the last session, Mr. Speaker, and you have been a governor, it is hard to have a clerk of a county assembly who has survived long. Unless that clerk is a unique creature. Mr. Speaker, because the threshold of removing such is very easy, Mr. Speaker. Even the issue of CCM, you need also stability as a governor to ensure that your CCMs are not intimidated, Mr. Speaker. I can tell you a number of county executives, a number of CEOs, a number of directors in various departments within county structure. They always live in fear of being undermined or being targeted, either politically. Mr. Speaker, you are aware, there is a lot of political witch hunt in these offices we hold. It is that members of parliament, to recall them through right of recall is not easy, as many people want to imagine. To recall a member of parliament, both senior learned friends, Senator Faki and Senator Manzo, as it is an Herculean task. I remember, Mr. Speaker, when Senator Mwaura, the current government spokesman, Senator Millicent Omanga, Mama Miradi, Senator, the late, may his soul rest in peace, Senator Brengei, a number of senators during the war, in quotes, under the arrangement of handshake, Mr. Speaker, had been removed by Jubilee. But when they wanted, they had been removed, and yet it was hard to remove them. So you can imagine a recall of an elected person. So our stopgap measure, Mr. Speaker, is so protected that we are not exposed too much as opposed to appointee positions, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, that is the essence of this bill. This is a straightforward amendment bill. I want to ask my colleagues, please, let us ensure that we espouse the issues of national values, public power. The principles include good governance and integrity, Mr. Speaker. And of course, our main aim, Mr. Speaker, is the means of ensuring accountability in the exercise of public power, is the oversight members of SC by the legislature of both governments. And remember, this year, Mr. Speaker, appeared both to county assemblies and Senate, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, as per Section 40, the county government provides for procedure for the removal. Office of the county is established by the Constitution. And noting the adverse consequence of removal of impeachment of a member of county executive. Mr. Speaker, in this House, we have a live example, a testimony by the name Miracle Senator of Kiambu, Senator Karungo Tangwa. He knows, and I hope, believe and pray that he will have a chance to say something about this bill, Mr. Speaker, because he's in the House. I know he has sponsored another bill on impeachment procedure bill, so that he can give us the experience, Mr. Speaker. You know, when you are removed or impeached, Mr. Speaker, the reason we are calling him Miracle Senator is because in his other life as CCM, he had been fought many battles, including being removed during Governor Waititu era. So, Speaker, if you remember, there was a governor in this country called Waititu, Babayao. And you cannot miss him on the streets of Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. He's a friendly man. So, through those tribulations, there are people who walikuwa wamempangia at some point not to be elected. But he became a miracle senator by going through that. And this is because of this. Because by the time you recall somebody or impeach, you impeach Mr. Speaker, it almost threatened him not to be elected. And you know, even Governor Sonko, the immediate popular governor of Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, the consequence of his being impeached is so painful. You are staying out of office more than 10 years. And if Governor Sonko was even to contest in Mombasa County as a governor, to run for governor, Mr. Speaker, because the Supreme Court, the rule, he would have won to be the governor of Senator Faki at that point in time, Mr. Speaker. But this, Mr. Speaker, that is the pain of being impeached. So these are things we want to ensure. By the time you are impeached, let you have committed a serious offense and sin against man, against God, and against the Constitution of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, thank you for this opportunity, and I hope this is a straightforward amendment. I want to ask my colleagues to allow us to process as much as possible. And with your permission, Mr. Speaker, as I beg to move, I request the chairperson, Senator Mohammed Abbas, one of the wisest senators on the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker, to second me. And I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move. I request Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I thank my friend Sharagay for giving me that kind of title. I think it's a very good praise, and I hope to meet that standard. Honorable Speaker, as the chair of the Committee of Devolution, we have gone through all the bills, all the acts in the law, and we found that a lot of lacunas that actually needs to be changed or improved. As he rightly said, the mover said, Honorables, the CECs, the County Executive Committee members, are actually people of high calibers. Some of them are being moved from other ministries. There are some of them come from private sectors. Some are actually having their own businesses. But however, when they are appointed, they work in that atmosphere of fear and intimidation, that they cannot deliver their work as required. Whatever qualification they may have, they are at the mercy of the politicians, especially the MCAs and the governor, who is the appointing authority. The threshold of a third is actually, we felt that does not give somebody security to work comfortably in this environment area, I mean the way he works. And therefore, as you're aware, this equally happens, the deputy governors have also equally have the problem. Today, as I talked to you, I talked to this house, we have 21 cases where deputy governors are actually being threatened to be moved. And many speakers are actually under threat. Clerks equally the same. So I think if you continue the same trend, then devolution will not work properly. Then people work, will continue being intimidated. This kind of business of trying to impeach people also encourages corruption, and that's where you are seeing we are losing a lot of money in the counties. So therefore, we felt that as a committee, we need to change some of these laws so at least we can have a secure job security for all the members who are working under the county. The governor now has 2/3 threshold. So for the CECs, as the highest executive next to the governors and the deputy governor, also need to have security for their work. And therefore, Honourable Speaker, with those few remarks, this House has to safeguard what is going on in what do you call it, the devolution actually has to be safeguarded. The staff have to be saved from interventions so that at least they can be able to deliver. And with those few remarks, I beg to second.
Honourable Senators are now proposed the question that the County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 25 of 2023, be now read a second time. The Honourable Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate Senator Chiranke, the senator, for a great count for having, first of all, come up with this thought and for having drafted the bill very well, very professional. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the other, the other thresholds, other laws affecting any other member is 2/3. If it is a removal of the president, if there's removal of speaker, if there's removal of a minister, it's 2/3. But when it comes to the CEC, then it is 1/3. It means even an opposition party in the county can remove a CEC they don't like. It means the majority party in the county can do away with a CEC on just one sitting, and therefore there's a need to balance or equalize. And even the standard world over is 2/3, and therefore this really is in line with the world practice and gives protection to any person who gets appointed to a position and then witch hunt finds them out of that. And an impeachment, Mr. Speaker, is a political process. The moment politics change, it becomes very easy to impeach officers or force them out of office while they had been guaranteed of a job or be able to earn a living. Mr. Speaker, when it also comes to the other procedures, like when you want to raise signatures to remove a member of parliament, the law is not clear what will happen to a senator. And unfortunately, currently, we don't have IBC. IBC then will process that. But still, the threshold is high. It is not as low as a third, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, this is a law which we should pass even without an amendment. It is very well drafted, and it is good for the nation so that we can safeguard the rights of other people and especially employment rights and safeguard them against political witch hunt. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I didn't know that Senator Manzo once in a while can have so little to say on a particular topic. I know him to be a man of many opinions, but today is one such rare occasion. This is a straightforward bill, but I have a problem with it, Mr. Speaker. I have a problem with how we are amending this County Governments Act. In my life here in the Senate over the years, I have seen no less than maybe 10 or 12 amendments to the County Governments Act. And in a practical environment, Mr. Speaker, the application of its contents as an act of parliament is jeopardized by continuous amendment. Now, I think the only other bill that is amended as many times is the PFM. Nothing else, Mr. Speaker. I wish Senator Cherargei, and this is in order, I agree, if you make the threshold too low, yet the consequences are too severe, then we are not delivering justice. Senator Karugo Dhangwa nearly missed an opportunity to serve the people of Kiambu as their senator on account of just an impeachment. And I don't know what he had done. I don't know whether he was guilty or otherwise. But knowing him as a person, I know chances are must have been politics at play. But if that decision had been left to stand, then he would never have seen the four walls of Parliament. An impeachment process is not an easy thing. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, those to whom that power is given don't treat it with the seriousness it deserves. An impeachment process, the same way it is done in this House, and I have seen more than 10 impeachments in this House, Mr. Speaker. It is just the things you do here as senators is what our MCAs do also. And I know members know what I mean when I say the things you do. Now imagine a situation where just the only thing that saves the day here is that you need at least half the members of this House for an impeachment process to go through. The threshold was extremely low in this particular instance. And therefore, I want to agree with the thinking to raise the threshold so that the threshold is a bit higher, and on flimsy grounds, somebody cannot just be removed as a CEC, so that people are able to take their duties. You can imagine, Mr. Speaker, with the diversity of our counties, if a member of a county executive committee, for example, was to fall out with MCAs, say, from a particular sub-county on account of a decision that has been taken in the greater interest of the entire county. Mr. Speaker, you know what will happen is that that particular CEC, simply on the account of petty little politics, can lose their job, and yet you know up to now, we don't have sufficient jurisprudence on what happens when somebody is impeached. In fact, this afternoon I met Governor Sonko, one of the victims of an impeachment process of this House, where it was clearly demonstrated to us on this House that threshold was not achieved at the County Assembly of Nairobi. Yet, like I've explained earlier, there are many things that happen in an impeachment exercise. Senator Makueni knows this because he appeared here as advocate for Governor Sonko in that impeachment hearing. He knows what happened. And I'm not sure how Senator Wambua voted in that one, Mr. Speaker. But you know, Mr. Speaker, impeachments have become political processes, yet they have very serious legal and constitutional consequences. So we cannot afford to just allow that anybody, even this one of Senate, I want to still suggest that we need to exercise our mind better. The only unfortunate thing is that it is a constitutional threshold, because it doesn't matter the process. What matters at the end is when they eventually call Godfrey Osotsi, Senator for Vihiga, then you rise and say, I vote yes or no. At the end of the day, there's no, it doesn't matter the process that it has gone through. Eventually, or you abstain, like many people, there are people who used to abstain here, Mr. Speaker, because of many other reasons. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I like the fact that we are raising the threshold so that, you know, 2/3, by the time 2/3 of the Assembly is agreeing and concurring that something is wrong with you, then definitely something is a matter. But a third was too low a threshold. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge colleagues that we support this bill. I think it's a good thought, but like I have expressed concern, and I don't know if Senator Abbas is in the House. Yes, he is in the House. Senator Abbas, as our chair for Devolution Committee, there is something you must do for us. These piecemeal amendments of the County Governments Act are not good. Why do I say they are not good? Because you can imagine, after the passage and assent of this bill in both houses of parliament and it's assented to, you publish a new County Governments Act. I know there are others, I think even on the order paper or slightly later, draft legislative proposals to amend further the County Governments Act. I think it is better if Senator Abbas's Committee on Devolution can go through the entire breadth of that law, and with the experience now that this House has, where we have senators who are former governors, we have governors who are former senators, we have senators who have been MCAs and speakers, this House is not lacking in terms of the experience that is needed to understand the instruments and the operations of devolution in this country at this particular moment, so that you have a more comprehensive cleanup of that particular law. Remember, when that law was being drafted, nobody had practiced devolution in Kenya. But 12 years down the line, Mr. Speaker, we have learned. We know what can work, what can't work. You know, I personally, even as a majority leader, I have bills that are amending the County Governments Act, establishing the various leadership offices in our assemblies. This is part to the work that we did at the